Okay, so welcome everyone. I thought we would start actually with a little bit of breath work today, focusing on alternate nostril breath. Now, I know it's very warm down in the south. Gatwick Airport was like being in like, I don't know, like Bali when I flew down without the humidity. So if it feels too much or you want to relax or you've got heavy hay fever and this doesn't feel right, you can simply sit and breathe. So first of all, we'll rest the hands down towards the legs, maybe noticing that sense of resistance if you are feeling particularly tired today. Just seeing if you can bring in a sense of ease there instead. Letting ourselves settle for a moment within our conversation, the world of sport, and then bringing the attention away from that conversation, bringing the attention back to you. Maybe acknowledging one of the reasons why you're tired. Maybe it's the work, the training, the going out, the summer. And then noticing maybe one reason if you're feeling a little tired that maybe you'd normally complain about. And seeing if through that reason for feeling tired that maybe you'd normally complain about, seeing if you can see through that. Maybe you're tired from work, yet earning money allows you to train for your races. Maybe because you've been traveling, yeah, that opens up opportunities. And through this lens of mindfulness, sitting, we can start to see and almost embrace the resistance we're meeting, the tiredness, the stiff body. And we'll start to bring ourselves into alternate nostril breathing. Remember to be comfortable in your seat. We'll bring the hand up towards the face. You can have the index and middle finger tucked in, or you can have them resting towards the brow. And we'll take a breath in through both sides of the nose. And we're going to gently close the left and breathe out through the right. And we're going to breathe in through the right. And we're going to stay on the right, breathing out. Staying on the right, breathing in. Staying on the right, breathing out. Staying on the right, breathing in, and then we switch. So we close the right, breathe out through the left. On the left, breathing in. On the left, breathing out. On the left, breathing in. On the left, breathing out. So this time in through the left. And now we switch out through the right. In through the right. Out through the left. In through the left. out through the right, in through the right, out through the left. This is our last full round. In through the left and out through the right. Releasing the hand down, maybe a little roll of the shoulders back, and taking a moment to notice. Maybe you felt resistance through one side of the nose and ease through the other. Maybe both channels were clear. And again, just noticing. Depending on what day you've had, maybe you've been out in the garden or in the city. The nose might feel a little blocked. And then letting the chin come down towards the chest. And then depending on how you feel, if the legs need stretching, you can. But if they feel okay for a moment longer, we're just going to keep the chin to the chest and then just almost let the body slide forward into a little forward fold. So again, we're not going too far. Maybe noticing if the breathing feels a little more clear as you bow forward. And then as long as it feels okay, we're going to walk the body and the hands over to one side. So it's almost like you're taking a little forward fold and a little twist, just a little bow there. And then back slightly up over to the other side. And a little bow there. We'll do this a couple more times if that feels okay. So as you feel ready, you can always let the eyes open or have them closed. You lift up, kind of walking those hands over. And again, that very sweet little bow down towards that side. Coming up as you feel ready, walking those hands over. So we're working a little bit down and towards the back of the body. Bowing over that leg. Lifting up. We'll do one more on each side. Walking those hands over. Taking a little bow. So we move between these 2 points of effort and ease. Hopefully not too much effort in this twist, but there might be a little. And bowing over that leg. And then bringing yourself back up to sit. So we're going to take our ball, our tennis ball. These are massage balls, so these are a little harder. Now, one of two options. So you can return to what we did on the previous week, which I'll show you if you're not sure, which is sitting, and then we've got the ball under the base of the calf. So you can do this option and we'll move up, or I'm going to give you another option. Now, I like this option, but it is a little bit more challenging, I think. So if you want to do the other option, you'll need to be kneeling, but you can determine how much weight you're going to put into this. We're going to take the ball and we put it kind of not into the knee. I mean, you guys know this, but slightly down. And then we sit back a little onto that ball. So, Joe, I can kind of hear your thoughts already. Now I'm not putting too much weight back, so I've got my hands onto the floor, so you can have a little bit of weight there, or you can go back a little more onto it. So for us sitting, I find it easier to start with the ball up at the top of the calf. If you're kneeling, if you're sitting on the floor, you can start either end of behind the calf, whichever works best. So I'm going to time us on this. Good. Okay, yeah, Deborah, you're kneeling, aren't you? So sometimes I'll move very slightly here. So if you have got the leg extended, right? You can lean into that and you can always move a little. If you're kneeling, I sometimes move the bum a little left to right. Good. And then this can be done for longer, of course. We're going to lift up. We're going to take that ball about a quarter of the way down. And if you're kneeling, we're going to take the weight back. When I sit, I'll sometimes squidge the ball slightly to the left because when you sit down, it rolls to the right. Ooh, I've already done this once already today. So we just take a little bit of time here. So remember, if you've got the leg extended out, that's it, Joe. You can always put that ball on a block as well if you've got the leg extended out. Good. And then we'll do this for one more minute. We'll take that ball kind of 3/4 of the way down up that leg. And again, I'll often sit back onto it and then move a little. And you're welcome to try both if you do want to try both. I do like the kneeling version sometimes to get in a little more. Good. And then we'll go for tiny bit further down. So obviously we don't want to go into that heel, just a little bit further down. And then if you're sitting, of course, you can come up a little more if you need to. You'll feel this a little less. Yeah, they escape a little bit. Sometimes you can put the tennis ball in a sock or something. Good. Okay. And then release that. And I'll join you guys sitting, giving the legs a little stretch. You might point and flex, roll through the ankles a little there. Okay, I know. Well done on trying it. So let's do the other side. So you can always, when you're doing the other side, with this leg you can have extended out. You can, of course, have this leg back a little. So I've brought my other leg back, which can give a little bit more space there sometimes. So we'll start the process. So focus on the calves again today. Remember, you can be still and you can lean into that forward fold, or you can move a little here. And then we'll take that ball up a bit. And if any of you go to, I don't know if any of you go to David Lloyd, there's obviously lots of other good gyms out there, but they have like a foam, like a machine, and it's like a foam roller, but it's like electric and it just goes round. So they're really good machines for this as well. You can sit and do the calves. A little bit of time here. And again, with that knee back, sometimes it gives a little bit of access. You can go over that a little. That's it, Joe. And then we'll move that up a bit. And you don't have to lean into it. Okay, sometimes it puts a little bit more tanginess into it. You might find a spot. So I'll often turn the foot slightly out to get down that kind of outer part of the calf. And then we'll go up. And this isn't necessarily about finding that resistance, right, and trying to get rid of it, but it's also about that curiosity. You guys know you guys all train hard, but tuning in, because if we're tight or tense in the muscles and then we're doing more um, training on top of that, like I just had a week off, didn't really do any yoga because I was working, teaching, did some walking each day to the bar, had prosecco. Maybe that's what helped. But my body feels really relaxed. 2 massages. I think having that time off can really um, support us rather than putting more resistance in. So let's move that a little bit, tiny bit longer on that side because often the second side doesn't get as much. Stretching those legs out, giving those ankles a little roll. So again, focusing on the calves, we will do other parts of the body as well. So now we're going to take this into our downward facing dog. So really to get into to feel into the calf muscles again. Think of it as quite a lazy downward facing dog. You can keep obviously your socks on or whatever. I've just got some thick ones there so they slip a little. So as you come into your downward facing dog, you might even get a moment to stretch in towards the feet into some sort of squat and then into that down dog. So again, we're not going to be here for long. Now I've got a blanket here. You don't have to, but I've got a blanket here that goes underneath my heels, which can feel really nice in your down dog as well. So we've stretched or worked into the calves. So we may not want to work them too much. So remember, you can have that blanket there. Maybe you bend into one knee and the other. Take in a long breath in and a long breath out. Again. And then briefly into child's pose, bringing those knees down and pressing back. So stretching down along the spine, working into those quads now. And then we're going to take it like we did in that seated shape. We're going to take it into a side stretch. So in your child's pose, walking those hands over to one side, but also stretching into the front of the ankles. Just taking a couple of breaths there. Walking back to center and then over to the other side. So especially for you guys that feel tired today, really seeing if you can notice the ease of the shapes. It's obviously probably very warm where you guys are as well. So noticing the ease you can bring in. Good, and then come back up. So either with or without a block. Now, I did work with some people over on the course of the retreat, and some people for them it felt much more comfortable with a thin block, the thin foam blocks, or a brick, or no block at all. This is one of my newest favorite things. We might have done it a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to come towards a lunge, and we're going to bring our foot on towards the block. Now you might be able to see, I know in yoga we're often conditioned to keep the knee above the ankle. Because we're working a little into the calves and we might feel a little tired as well, I'm going to invite you, as long as the knee feels happy, to come from either here, and you can stay here if you want to, make sure you support the knee. You can stay here, or you can bring yourself more forward, and you can see that I want to create an angle here and here. I'm going to give us about 1 more minute here, at least. Let's see, maybe a minute and a half. I tend to just keep the hands on towards the leg. You can have hands on the block, or like I've got a wall here, so I can use the wall as well. If you need to back off at any time, you can. Sorry, the camera's a little low, or you can lean in. And try not to lean too much on the leg. I find that if I bring the body up a little, rather than lean on the leg, if I bring the body up a little, it takes a little bit of pressure out the knee. So the torso is up, but the hips can go forward more. And if you want to get more into the ankle, you can potentially, I'll just try it, bring the block back. Ooh, go more in there. See where we're at for time. Let's do another half a minute here. So you might feel it in that left pocket of the hip, or the hip that's back. You might feel it in the front of the ankle, and you might feel it into the knee and the other foot as well. Good. Let's move back. Ooh, if you want to take the foot off the block for a moment and do a little stretch in towards the hamstrings, you can. I tend to tuck the toes of the other foot. I just feel it's safer for my knees, but you can keep those toes untucked. And whilst you're here, if you want to move that foot that's extended out in front of you, left to right, that can be quite good for the hip a little as well. We move probably between effort and ease. Good. Okay, let's switch sides. So setting ourselves up. Got this block. Went down to the charity shop and I saw this block and brought it home. My husband's like, did you need another block? There's one thing I don't need. It's yoga blocks. So let's set ourselves up. So again, you might stay back a little bit. That might feel a lot more helpful for you. The first half a minute, you might come into where you set the block up. So again, you may or may not be able to feel it. A lot of us might feel it up into the quads, up in towards, I think of it like the pocket of the hip. So kind of like where we would put our hand in our jean pocket. And of course, some of you might prefer lean forward. I find that then I get a bit weight in the knee, so I like to bring myself back a little. Good, that's it. You can always breathe out through the mouth. And if at any time you do want to bring that block in a little more, obviously just be mindful of the knees. And take the stretch more in towards that ankle, you absolutely can. Take about 20 more seconds here. You got it, Joe, yeah. Always, I've got like a little shelf here that I use often, which can feel quite nice. So we're also working around the knee as well. So sometimes the knee might feel a little tight if we've been doing a lot for the quads. Good. Oof, that side was harder. Let's come back. You can always scoot that block out of the way if you want to go in towards those hamstrings. Well done. I know it's hot where you guys are as well, so make sure you stay hydrated. You can tell I'm up north. I'm wearing a jumper and socks. A little movement there. Good. And then let's stretch it out either in cat-cow or downward facing dog. Think of it again, quite a lazy down dog. A little pedal through the feet. And because we've been working a little bit on the feet, finding that sense of resistance, that sense of effort and ease, we'll do one more thing for the ankles. So because my camera's low today, I'll just keep it there because it's easier. Let's come into a forward fold. And hopefully you might feel there's a little bit more freedom in the ankles, the feet and the calves. And then don't worry, I won't need to see you for this. We'll come up and we're going to do a little bit for the front of the ankles. So I'm going to use the wall as a support for my hand if you need support. Excuse me, I don't know if I think I've got hay fever. So we're going to take the foot back and then I'm going to tuck, so I'm going to like point the toes away. Should be able to see. And then it's going to stretch the front of the ankle. That might be enough. I'm leaning forward slightly, or you can bring the body upright. So you're standing right up straight and just push a little into the front of the ankle. We're not going to be here for long, maybe about 3 or 4 more breaths. If it feels too much, just come away and back into it. And you can always take the foot back and kind of drag it. And I'm pushing a little into the top of that foot. Exhaling through the mouth, so we notice that resistance we're meeting. And again, I've locked a little into the knee, so you can always bend that standing leg if you prefer. Good. And then release that, maybe a little roll, a little wriggle. You can do a little point and flex. And then let's do the other side. So, other foot goes back, kind of like you're pointing it, and then those toes. And then again, you can lean forward slightly, or maybe have a little bend in that knee and think of bringing the body like you're standing up. Stretching into the front of the ankle. So for some of us, it's going to feel a lot more tight. Some of us, it won't feel too much. I'll just take a few more breaths here. I don't know about you, but it makes me want to exhale through the mouth. Good. All right, let's release that. And then just a little paddle or paddle through the feet. But whilst we're up, we will do a little bit for the feet with our ball. So just a little bit. I'll time us for a minute on each side. So as we did the other week, really using your intuition here, you can roll the ball. You can always find a tender point or do like we did with the calf. So you could pause a little, press into the ball, move the ball down, press a little. I'm using the wall to hold me up. Take the ball down, press a little, and then right to that heel and press a little. Quite nice to get up into the toes. And if your feet do feel quite tender and quite tight, and you're quite tired, if you can get to any reflexology, highly recommend it. A good one. Good. And then release that. Again, little pedal through the feet. Good. And then let's do the last round here on the other leg, on the other foot. Yeah, I had reflexology with this when we went out in Italy. I don't know if Deborah might have met her. Her name's Key, and she is just like she literally looks at your toe and then comes back and gives you like an insight to your life. She's like anything beyond I've ever met. But I felt with a session of reflexology, I felt like issues in my back and loads of things were supported and helped just through the feet. So I really recommend it. So maybe you find a tender point here. For me, it's normally the middle of the foot or along this part of the foot. I think I'd have to double check, but I think this is the spine, and I think the middle of the foot is the belly. I think round the ankle is more our reproductive area, and I don't know. The big toe might be the neck, but I'd have to check that for you. Good. Okay, let's move that ball out of the way for the moment. Just give those feet a little pedal, a little pat out. Happy feet. I think was that Happy Feet? I think it was a penguin in a movie, wasn't it? And then let's bring those hands down into that forward fold, and let's go into that downward facing dog again. So especially for you folk that are really tired, maybe closing the eyes just briefly in your down dog. Just embracing a little bit of movement or a little bit of stillness. And then let's bring those knees down into our child's pose. You're welcome to use a block, or if you want to scoot a cushion. We're not going to be here for long. Let's come into that child's pose. We'll take about 2 minutes here. Now, if you've got hay fever or anything going on like I have, just keep the nose or the head turned to one side, or you can keep the head up. So a couple of minutes here. Like we did earlier, if you want to move a little side to side, you can. This also is quite a nice little stretch for the calf muscles. If you're ever really short on time, you could always use the ball. If you have two tennis balls or two massage balls, you can always do that kneeling version of the calf work, but do both at the same time. Take a few more breaths here. Good. And then push yourself back up. So we're going to work a little bit into bridge and a little bit up in towards the quads and into the psoas muscle as well. So you can use a bolster like this. The square ones are really nice if you decide to buy one. You can use a block or you can use a blanket. Okay, we're going to work into supported bridge, and then in supported bridge we'll be pulling the one knee in and the other leg stretched out. So if you don't want too much of a stretch, lower blanket or a block. Obviously the blocks are a little uncomfy though. So the easiest way to do this, I love the way Deborah's already there, is we're going to lie down and I'm going to time us here. So I'll use a block. You can use a blanket or a cushion as well. Really, we don't want to go too high in this, especially as this is a more restorative class. So first of all, we're in supported bridge. Now, lately I've been working a lot with the neck as well. So if you want to, you can always scoop the hands around the head, lift the head up like kind of like a massage therapist does, pull the chin in, and then with a lot of love, place the head either back onto the floor or if you've got a cushion and a blanket there. So first of all, supported bridge. If you need to, you can let the knees knock in, or if you want to, you can have the feet wide apart. And today we want to now start to meet that ease. So letting the belly relax. If the prop feels too uncomfortable, you can always come back to the floor or put a blanket on top of the block. And especially in the warmer weather for you guys, if you want to, you can take the arms above the head, let off a little yawn, and think of that heat kind of almost naturally just leaving the system. No effort. Maybe the eyes close. See if you can bring your attention towards the breath. Making it feel very steady. See if you can really rest and relax those big muscle groups, glutes, quads. I find that this work, and I don't know why, but bridge pose often kind of brings a little bit of feeling of space into the ankles as well, which can be really nice. So from here, if this prop feels okay, for me it feels a little hard, but if your block feels okay, you can stay on the block. I'm going to change mine for a blanket. And then we're going to pull one knee in. So let's just pull one knee in, hold that knee, and then the other foot can either stay onto the floor or, if you can, extend out through that heel. Just let that extended leg relax a little. And if you want to, you can always drive out through that extended heel for a moment whilst you're holding the other knee in. If you can't hold the knee, a really nice, just a variation alternative is to hold the back of the thigh. Holding the knee might give you a little bit more in towards the front of the leg, up in towards the psoas. You can always move the foot if you need to or want to as well. A little wriggle into the toes. And you can also play a little here. Sometimes I'll pull that left knee. If I've got hold of the left knee, for example, I might sometimes pull it slightly in and across just to get a little into that outer hip. Maybe breathing out through the mouth. And then that knee you've got hold of, we're going to scoop the hands around the back of the leg. And just for maybe 1 to 3 breaths, we're going to push that heel up to the sky. So we straighten that leg that you're holding with or without a clasp and roll a little through that ankle. So I haven't got much props at all, but if you've got more props, it's going to feel a little harder. Good. Bring that knee back in and then place both feet onto the floor for a moment. If the block feels uncomfortable, you could always lift into bridge for a moment just to lift away from the prop. And then bring yourself back on towards the block. So let's work the other side for this. So we pull the opposite knee in. And I think that this little sequence on the block was one of the best things I did when I was doing like more miles. There's something I find about it that you can kind of tweak. You can make it more restful. You can make it more strong. And just gently play in there if you want to. That feeling of the knee, maybe pulling slightly in. Maybe you're pushing it out through that heel a little more. Good. And then from there, you don't have to hold the leg. If you want to, you can take hold the back of that thigh. You can push that heel up towards the sky, maybe a little movement there. And again, notice, does this side feel more tight? Right, for me, it definitely does. So if we were running on this constantly, right, just noticing how that affects the other side. Good. And then let's stay on the block if that feels okay, or on the floor. Pull both knees in. And then we're going to take both legs up. Now, this is not going to be a long hold, so you can have the knees bobbed into the chest. It's going to be for about a minute. So if it feels stressful on the system, just have the knees in. You can always hold the legs. And for some of you, you might be able to let the legs bob towards you as if you're going to go into a shoulder stand, but we're not. We will be completing with either relaxation or legs up the wall. So we're not going to stay too long here. That's going to come back soon. Maybe wiggling the toes, just giving a bit of freedom to the feet. We'll take one more breath here. And then bringing those knees back in. So let's come away from this prop because, in my opinion, they're always uncomfortable. And bring yourself back to the floor. So keeping the feet to the floor, knees bent, unless you want to do something different, we're going to let those knees just swish side to side. So as long as you've got the space, you can let those knees move quite far. Good. And then in a moment, choosing a restful shape. So if you want to put the legs up on the sofa, up the wall, or you want to be in relaxation only with maybe a prop under the knees or a blanket over the body. So however you want to be, whether it's legs up the wall, you could always be reclined in a butterfly shape as well, if you prefer. So this pose, this shape is in here to work with that level of fatigue. It will also bring a sense of ease to those tired calves, hopefully. And if you have put legs up the wall and it does feel like effort, sometimes I'll just cross them, one ankle over the other. Arms can be out to the side. Maybe close the eyes and even place an eye pillow over the eyes. You can take a few quiet minutes here. And as you rest, if you wish to follow my voice, how would it feel to place your attention towards the feet? And invite in a sense of ease towards the feet. Perhaps invite in a sense of relaxation. And maybe even let the feet relax. Guiding your attention up towards the calf muscles. Allowing there to be a sense of ease. Maybe even quietly affirming through language. I relax my calves. I relax my calves. My calf muscles are relaxed. Tension up towards the hamstrings, around the knees, And we quietly maybe acknowledge the work that the hamstrings do, the work that the knees do. And perhaps again, you might confirm or affirm that you relax your knees and your hamstrings, and your knees and your hamstrings are relaxed. And then bringing your attention towards the quads. You might even move the feet slightly so you can feel the strength of the quads. I relax my quads. I relax my quads. My quad muscles are relaxed. And then the attention moves round towards the back of the body again, all the way through the glutes. Perhaps even briefly for a second, you tense and squeeze the glutes, and then let the glute muscles relax. Recognizing what drives you through life, and then letting there be a sense of ease around the back of the body, the glute muscles, maybe even the lower back. You might work again with those words. I relax my glutes. My glute muscles are relaxed. And then noticing your back that's touching the floor. Maybe noticing the spaces between the floor and the back. And then bringing your attention as well down the back of the arms, around towards the forearms, and all the way up in towards the fingers. Perhaps you quietly repeat after me. My back is relaxed. My arms are relaxed. My hands, my fingertips are relaxed. And then placing the attention towards the chest, maybe right in the middle of the sternum. Maybe right in towards the belly. And you might feel the front of the body feeling light. And as you breathe, feel the belly soften. Perhaps quietly affirming at the front of the body, the arms, the hands are relaxed. And finally up towards the jaw, throat, head, the eyes. And as you take a slightly longer out breath in a moment, letting the head feel quite heavy. yet also supported as if someone was gently holding the head. You might notice the tension, if there is any, around the base of the skull, which we'll get to next week. And seeing if you can soften around the eyes, the tongue, and the jaw. From the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. You're welcome to repeat, my whole body is relaxed. My whole body is relaxed. My whole body is relaxed. Let's take about 3 to 5 more breaths here. And bringing in a little bit of movement. Remembering your reasons for practicing today. If you're tired, maybe it's a little stretch, very minimal, especially as most of us will be heading off to bed. Maybe there's a yawn of the jaw. Maybe a stretch of the legs. And then feel free, when you wish to roll to one side. Of course, you can stay lying down. And we work again with that sense of resistance, right? That sense of effort, that sense of ease. When we meet the tightness in the body or the things in life that we don't want to do, we can always come back to this sense of grace, this sense of gratitude, and look at the reasons why we're doing it, right? The body's stiff and tired because we run or work out. We're tired maybe because we've got so many brilliant things to do. If you wish to bring your practice to a close, you're welcome to bring the hands together in prayer. Maybe take in a little bow towards each other, towards our practice. Well done, everyone. Well done.